Alrighty, so yesterday we spent some time focusing on the difference between strong and weak reasons, making sure that we understand a reason that supports our opinion and a reason that might support or that might be against our opinion. So today we're going to move a little bit further, as we did in class, developing strong reasons for our persuasive essay topic. But first, let's take a look at our learning targets so we know what we're doing tonight. We want to be able to say that we can improve the reasons we include in our persuasive essays, making them strong and persuading our readers emotionally, logically, and ethically. Why are we doing this? Well, it's important for us to be able to build on our writing and create strong reasons that persuade our reader in many different ways. Let's just remind ourselves again of our persuasive essay writing topic. Within the past several years, students have come to utilize their cell phones on a daily basis. Their phone has become their tool to not only contact their parents and friends, but as a gateway of information so that they may access at the press of their finger. It's become a challenge for most schools, however, because students refuse to relinquish their cell phones throughout the day. Your school district is deciding whether or not they should allow cell phones to be utilized in school on a daily basis. Your writing task: write a letter to the principal identifying whether or not cell phones should be permitted for use in schools. Be specific and develop strong reasons in your response. So today in class we started with our T-chart. We came up with reasons as to why we would support having cell phones in school or why we would be against having cell phones in school. And for those of you who were on the support side, you came up with some reasons. You said cell phones could be used as safety in case of emergency or pick up changes after school. Well, we could think about some supporting details for this because I do think this is strong. We could say that having cell phones in school would put parents at ease, right? Especially in emergency situations. So we could definitely come up with a lot to support that reason. You also said that parents can stay in touch with their child or children during the school in case of emergency. But let's remember, it's strong, but we can't repeat reasons. So if we chose option 1 or reason 1, we wouldn't choose reason 2 because they're too similar, and we just want to be careful with that. You also said that students could use cell phones for educational purposes. I think this is great. Remember our class notes. There's so many different supporting details I could come up with to support this reason. So many things that we've already done, even when we think about poll everywhere, how many times I've wanted you to use your cell phones, but we can't use them just yet because we don't have that policy. So there's so many supporting details you can come up with for reason number 3. But there were some of you who were against having cell phones in school. You said that if cell phones are permitted in school, they may become a distraction for students. That's a good reason. You said if they're permitted in school, they may use cell phones to cheat. That's a very, very good point. And we discussed some of the supporting details that could arise if students are using cell phones to cheat. Remember, you have access to Google, you have access to the internet, you have access to your own notes on your phone and pictures. And some of you also said, if you were against having cell phones in the classroom, that if cell phones are permitted in school, they could get stolen or they could even be broken. And that's a liability not only for you, but a liability for your parents as well. Alrighty. So again, for those of you who supported, you said that cell phones could be used as a reward. Once students finish their work, they could listen to music or play educational games. This certainly appeals to many of the students because if we're looking at it as a reward, it's a great thing for us to motivate us to finish our work if need be. I think I could come up with some supporting details for this. It may not be the strongest reason, but it's certainly helpful. And you also said, if you support cell phones in school, that schools could potentially save money, and this was interesting, by utilizing the cell phone or smartphone Wi-Fi hotspot and pull an internet connection from the phone rather than paying for an internet provider. Although I don't think the school districts would ever go for this, it was certainly an insightful reason that our Period 3 class came up with. But for those of you who were against having cell phones in the classroom, you said that by permitting cell phones in the classroom, many veteran or experienced teachers may not understand how to utilize the benefits of the phone correctly and may become overwhelmed. These teachers may not be able to help their students the way that they should. That's a really good reason because, unfortunately, some teachers may not be aware of how they can use those cell phones because maybe they don't have a smartphone or a cell phone that's as up to date as students would. So that's certainly a good reason, and I could come up with a lot of supporting details for that one. Okay, so you guys came up with some really great reasons, strong reasons, supportive reasons to support having cell phones in the classroom or not having cell phones in the classroom. But I wanted to show you some other reasons that might actually inspire you to come up with some greater supporting details, real life examples, and meaningful connections in your body paragraphs. So if you're supporting cell phones in the classroom, you might want to think about this. Every decade, a new piece of technology is introduced to our generation. Our society opens up our arms to the various types of technology, and we learn that there can be numerous benefits, okay? Let's think about things like at the beginning when years ago they were using calculators, people thought using calculators was wrong. Now we use calculators for everything. When people first thought about having computers in school, they thought it would be a distraction. And now look, we have computers in almost every classroom. Think about iPads, using iPads in the classroom. There are many things that at first, the public or maybe parents or students or school districts thought was not acceptable in the classroom, and now we're using them. So when technology is used, when a new piece of technology is introduced, we try to take it in, and we learn that there's numerous benefits to that. So if you support having cell phones in the classroom, you could list a slew of benefits of using the cell phones in the classroom. But if you're against having cell phones in the classroom, you might want to think about the fact that very often students do not pay attention when they're on their cell phones. If students choose to text while walking in the hallway, and this is true, believe it or not, they might inadvertently injure themselves. Inadvertently meaning by accident. Think about it. And there's so many real-life examples that we could use. We could even do a text-to-self connection here. Have you ever been walking in the hallway or on the street corner and you're texting and you're looking down, next thing you know, you tripped over your own 2 feet because you didn't see the side of, the sidewalk ending because you were so focused on texting? Well, this could happen if cell phones are allowed in school. Students might walk into each other, they might trip down the stairs, because they have access to their phones all day long. Also, if you're against having cell phones in the classroom, you might want to consider that by permitting cell phones in school, students will be using them throughout the entire day. And most importantly, this might inhibit their social skills. Yes, school is a place where students are supposed to enhance their social skills. You're supposed to be talking with your peers. Think about all the times that we do student-centered activities and working with multiple group members and just even one peer. You're constantly talking and sharing and working together. Well, if you're using your cell phone, there's no reason to really discuss with anyone. So it might inhibit student social skills, and there's a lot of real-life examples you can come up with for that. Okay, something else we might want to consider if we support having cell phones in the classroom. Cell phones could also help students stay organized. I really like this reason because we can come up with a lot of supporting details. You could talk about using it as an agenda, using the calendar, putting our assignments in a calendar. One could also add notes and set reminders or alarms, maybe to remember to study for a test or a quiz, to remember to meet a teacher after school. How many times have I asked you to come for extra help and you say that you've forgotten? So there's a lot of supporting details I can come up with for that reason. But if I'm against having cell phones in school, I might want to think about that if the phones are permitted, students may utilize them in inappropriate ways. It would be very easy for a student to do this throughout the day. And this we could expand a lot on. Think about all the inappropriate pictures or videos that might be taken, maybe using the internet at inappropriate times. It might also lead to cyberbullying. So this is something that you might want to think about if you're against having cell phones in school. Okay. And lastly, if you support having cell phones in school, you might want to think about the fact that cell phones could encourage students' digital responsibility and citizenship. It might actually be a good thing because they have to take responsibility for their actions. They have to become trustworthy individuals so that they won't use their phones inappropriately. And if you notice, for reason 8 on the against side, I left it blank because I'd like you to take this time to really think and reflect on any other reasons you might consider strong reasons to either support or to be against having cell phones in school. Again, if you can think of any more reasons to support having cell phones in school or reasons why you would be against having cell phones in school, think about that carefully and consider adding that to the list. So let's talk about what you're going to do for homework tonight. After you've watched this video, you're going to use the T-chart that was given to you in class and complete the following steps. You want to choose a side. You're either supporting cell phones in school or you're against cell phones in school. Then you want to choose your top 3 reasons. There are so many reasons we discussed, but only choose your top 3 reasons that you will be using in your body paragraphs. Remember, 1 reason for each body paragraph. And please make sure you're choosing it on one side only, not both sides, okay? And then you might want to consider brainstorming a few supporting details that would support each reason that you chose. Although we're going to do this in more detail tomorrow, it would be really helpful for you to think about this tonight. Okay, and that's going to be due tomorrow. Tomorrow in class, we're going to work on creating a 4-square method. Now, we've done this in the past before, and we're going to think very carefully about how we can brainstorm supporting details right here to support our reason. Okay, so obviously this is someone who was against having cell phones in school, and she came up with 3 solid reasons and 3 supporting details to prove each reason to be true. And we're going to do that in class tomorrow. So be sure to look over the T-chart that was given to you, maybe any additional reasons you added, and be sure that the 3 reasons you choose are strong, they're persuasive, they pull on my emotions, my logic, or my morals and values. And then we'll use that tomorrow to formulate our 4-square method.